You know that feeling? You roll out a shiny new system at work, maybe some new process.
Yeah, everyone gets trained up, nods along.
Right. But then give it a few weeks, maybe a month, and somehow things just kind of drift back to the old ways.
That initial burst of improvement just fizzles, and you're left scratching your head wondering what happened.
It's a super common frustration, isn't it, for so many organizations?
Oh, absolutely. You can put the tools in place, you can define the process, but the real sticky part is making it last, embedding it.
Well, welcome everyone to the Continuous Improvement Lab. This is Season 1, Episode 9. And hey, if you like what you hear, please do subscribe or follow for more insights like these.
Definitely.
Today we're doing a deep dive into some fantastic material you shared, focusing on exactly that, how to make improvements actually stick in an organization.
Right.
And we want to give a special shout out, a big thank you to Lamar Johnson, Amy Lefevre, and attorney Dr. Cassandra Suggs for providing these really valuable resources.
Yes, thank you. We've got some great stuff here, industry research, but also a really compelling case study that kind of gets right to the heart of this problem.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack the difference. The difference between just, implementing a system like a management operating system, an MOS, which is basically that structured way of running things, daily meetings, tracking performance, that kind of thing.
The framework.
And truly weaving it into the culture, into the day-to-day fabric of how work actually gets done.
That's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
To unlock those sustained improvements, those real aha moments where things just click differently.
Totally. Okay, so let's get into it. Where do we start?
Well, I think the core problem, the thing we need to grasp first, is that successful implementation isn't really about the tools or the templates themselves. It's about behavior change.
Behavior change.
It's about shifting the way we do things here. If that doesn't change, the tools just gather dust, metaphorically speaking.
And that Vertex Precision Manufacturing case study you mentioned, that seems like a perfect illustration.
It really is.
They put in an MOS, right? Daily huddles, action logs, KPI reviews, all the standard components.
Yep, ticked all the boxes for implementation.
But the material highlights how these things quickly became just check-the-box exercises. That phrase really jumps out.
It does, because it shows they had the form, but not the substance. They implemented, but they didn't achieve that cultural embedding.
And the result, progress stalled and people just slipped back into their old ways. So frustrating.
It is. But what's interesting and kind of hopeful about the Vertex story is that they recognized this. They saw the gap.
Okay. So they didn't just give up.
No, they realize, okay, just having the structure isn't cutting it. We need people to actually adopt this, to believe in it.
Which makes you think, doesn't it? How many places stop right there at the implementation step without tackling the culture piece?
Way too many, I suspect. So Vertex, what do they do?
Well, the case study talks about a big re-engagement push from leadership. Okay. They went back to the teams, all levels, and really doubled down on the message. This MOS isn't just another initiative. It's fundamental. It's how we operate now, how we solve problems.
So leadership visibility and reinforcement, that sounds crucial.
Absolutely. And role modeling, too. The CEO, other senior folks, they started actively participating in those tiered meetings.
Not just observing.
No, getting involved.
Yep.
Using the MOS framework to problem solve, reinforcing the methods, and this is important, celebrating the wins, specifically the wins that came because of the MOS.
Connecting the dots, showing the value, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it? It shows it's not just busy work.
Exactly. And another key thing, they empowered the teams. They let them adapt the MOS tools to fit their specific areas.
Okay, so it wasn't just a rigid top-down thing.
Right. Giving them that ownership, letting them tweak it so it actually worked better for their daily flow, that seems to have been a game changer.
That fosters buy-in, right? When it feels like your system, not just something imposed on you.
That's it. That psychological ownership you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. If you feel you've had a hand in shaping it, and you see it making your job easier or more effective, you're naturally going to use it properly.
And the results. Did they see a turnaround?
Oh, yeah. The numbers are pretty impressive. Within just 4 months of this renewed cultural focus.
4 months? That's quick.
It is. They saw a 19% improvement in first pass yield, basically getting things right the first time.
Wow.
And a 14% jump in overall equipment effectiveness, OEE, which, in manufacturing, that's a big deal. It means the machines were running much more effectively.
Those are serious, tangible gains, not just fuzzy feelings.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And beyond the hard numbers, the case study talks about changes in how teams behaved.
Like what?
Well, people became more proactive. raising issues earlier, tackling problems before they blew up.
Instead of just waiting for things to go wrong.
Exactly. And those action items from the meetings, they started getting closed out much faster. Why? Because people were actually engaged in the process. They cared about following through.
So engagement driving efficiency. Makes sense.
And the KPIs, the metrics, they stopped being just numbers to report up the chain.
Right.
Teams started actually using them to guide discussions, to figure out root causes, to plan improvements, actively using the data.
So the big takeaway from Vertex seems to be they managed to make the MOS truly become, what was that phrase again?
The way we do things here.
That's it. It wasn't some separate project anymore. It was just how they operated, part of their DNA.
Precisely. And the ripple effects were broader, too.
Yeah.
Better collaboration between teams, people feeling more ownership, more bottom-up problem solving. It really improved the whole working environment.
That's a fantastic example. But is Vertex an outlier, or does this idea of cultural embedding hold true more broadly? What does the industry research say?
Yeah, it's crucial to connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And the research you shared definitely confirms that Vertex isn't alone. Across different sectors, there's this growing realization. Cultural buy-in is non-negotiable for long-term MOS success, or really any major improvement initiative.
Okay, so let's look at some of those sectors. What about manufacturing and supply chain, where MOS is pretty common?
Well, the Lean Enterprise Institute, they're big in this space. They report that organizations fully integrating lean principles, often through an MOS, into just daily habits. They see about a 20% bump in operational consistency.
20%. Significant.
And a 17% increase in employee engagement. The key thing is the shift away from thinking of Lean or MOS as a program and towards it being just ingrained habit.
Makes sense. Higher consistency, more engaged people. What about, say, engineering or other parts of the supply chain?
Deloitte has research showing engineering firms that really embed these cadences, regular reviews, continuous improvement, MOS-aligned decisions into their culture. They see project delays and budget overruns drop by around 15%.
15% reduction in delays and overruns? That's huge in engineering projects.
It is. And in supply chains, when those daily rhythms like short interval control, structured handoffs between shifts, proper root cause analysis when those become cultural norms, on-time delivery can improve by up to 18%.
18% better on-time delivery.
Wow. And the research highlights the importance of leadership coaching and really treating the MOS as the operational backbone, not just an add-on.
So it's less about the specific software tool and more about how deeply the principles and practices are woven into the daily grind.
Exactly. It's the mindset, the behaviors.
What about industries that aren't manufacturing or engineering, like services, maybe marketing? Does it apply there too?
It seems to. McKinsey research suggests service and support teams where daily management is a cultural norm see customer satisfaction improve by about 12%.
Better customer sat.
And they see escalation drop by 14%. In marketing, teams that embed structured reviews and clear action ownership culturally, they often get faster project turnarounds and, interestingly, improved creative output.
Faster turnarounds and better creative? That's compelling.
And again, that idea of psychological ownership comes up. People feeling like they have a real stake in the process and its success.
It really feels like there's a consistent message emerging here, regardless of the industry.
I think so. The pattern is clear. Just having a system isn't the end game. You've got to integrate it deeply into the culture.
So the overarching trend is leadership finally getting it? That cultural buy-in trumps just technical execution.
I think that's a fair summary. We see it with Lean, Agile, Six Sigma. Whatever framework you pick, the implementations that truly succeed and sustain are the ones where employees just see it as normal, as how we work.
It's not the flavor of the month anymore.
Exactly. It's just the way things are done.
And how are leaders actually doing this? What's the practical approach?
The focus seems to be shifting. Less about just deploying the tools, more about actively shaping mindsets and behaviors.
So
Through things like consistent coaching, not just initial training, regularly recognizing and celebrating the behaviors. You want to see people using the system effectively, solving problems proactively.
Reinforcing the positive.
And empowering employees, giving them genuine ownership like we saw with Vertex adapting the tools.
Right.
When you do that, you tend to get better accountability, stronger collaboration, and ultimately, those sustainable long-term gains in productivity everyone's after.
Which really brings us full circle, doesn't it?
It does. So for you listening, what does this all boil down to?
I think it boils down to this. Real lasting improvement. It's not just about the process charts or the software. It's about embedding those things so deeply that they become part of the organizational culture.
It's making the way we do things here actually reflect those improved processes, making it reality, not just a poster on the wall.
Which prompts a question for you, doesn't it? Thinking about your own workplace.
Look at the systems and processes you have. Are they genuinely embedded, or are they still kind of treated as separate things? Maybe even things people resist a bit.
And following on from that, what small steps, what little shifts could start happening? Maybe initiated by you, maybe by leadership.
Yeah, what could you do to nudge things towards deeper cultural integration, towards unlocking those bigger, more sustainable results, moving past just having the system to truly living it?
It's a shift from checking boxes to genuinely changing how people think and act at work.
A powerful shift.
If you'd like more information or want to continue this conversation, please do reach out via our website. It's www.karaswisher.com.
We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on making improvements stick.
It's been a great discussion.
And a final special thanks to our executive producer and founder, Lanier Johnson.